Hey boys and girls, it's time for our writing lesson. Now this week you get to create your own nonfiction book. The past 2 weeks you've been able to read about any animal you want to learn about. You've taken notes about where they live, what they look like, what they eat, and any other cool facts that you've learned about. Now we're going to use those note-taking documents that you did the last few weeks to help us create our nonfiction book. So just like you had the digital note-taking paper, we're going to have our nonfiction book paper. Now, if you see mine is titled Teacher Copy, you're going to get one that says Student Copy. You're going to see a title page and a place to put your name, which is the author, which would be you. We're going to scroll down. Now, just like in a nonfiction book that you read, we have a table of contents. Then we have our sections. I gave us 5 sections. We can add more if you need to. You should have at least 3 sections for your book, though. Remember, you're using your note-taking paper to help you, and I'm going to show you how to do that today. You're going to put a title or your section name. You can change that. So you have 5 sections here. I'm going to scroll down. This is going to be your first section. You're going to change the title you want for your section here, and then you're going to start your text. You're going to use your notes to create the information in your book. And if I keep on scrolling down, we're not going to do this all in one day, but there's the section 2, section 3, section 4, and then we're going to have a glossary. Remember, our glossary is usually in the back of a nonfiction book. We have expert words in there that go along with what we are learning about. So you would type in your word and then write the definition. So look for those expert words when you are doing your research about your animal. And if you didn't take notes on them, you can always go back and reread those books to help you with creating your book. Now I do have, let's see here, quite a few boxes for your definitions. I would at least like 3 or 4 completed. There's more if you need more. You don't have to fill in all of the boxes for your glossary. So today I'm going to go back up to the top. Now remember, I was using frogs as my mentor nonfiction animal that I was teaching you guys with. So I'm going to pull up. I have my frog's habitat from my first day I took the notes. I'm going to be using this to make my section today. So I'm going to be going back and forth. You can do the same thing. You can have your note-taking paper pulled back up from each day, and you can use that to help you write your story. Now remember, you're not going to copy exactly what the book says. You're going to put it into your own words. Now first, let's see where to go. First off, I'm going to go to my title page. I'm going to give mine a title. Since I'm doing frogs, I'm going to say all about frogs by Miss McIntyre. If you would like, you can add a picture. This is not, you don't have to, this is not a requirement for a picture. But if you would like, we can upload one. There are frogs. So I already found that image off of Google Images. And make sure your picture goes along with your animal. So I did frogs. Again, you do not have to have a picture. So I'm going to scroll down to my table of contents. I'm going to leave that. So my first chapter, or not chapter, section, I said I did mine on habitat, where frogs live. So I'm going to say habitat. Now if you just highlight the section, you can change it. Leave the numbers, because that's our first section, second, third, and fourth. Okay, now I can leave the rest of this. I can do that the next day or when I'm ready. So I'm going to go to my section 1. I'm going to title it the same thing. Just like in your nonfiction books that you read, The table of contents is going to have the same title section on the page it starts. You don't want to get your readers confused. So now I'm going to look at my notes. This is where I'm going to start to type. Okay, so I have habitat. Frogs live all over the world. They're not in Antarctica, usually live in wet places. So one good thing you might want to do as a writer is go back and look over your notes and even reread your books again, because I know it's been a little while since we've read them. So I'm going to go back. Now remember, I'm not copying from my book. I don't even have my book up for you guys to see. So I'm going to start off by saying I'm going to indent. Most frogs like to live near wet places. And I can go back to my book or my notes. They usually live in the wet places. They like ponds, rivers, and lakes. So I'm going to say some of the places include ponds. Oops, I spelled include wrong. Include ponds, lakes, and rivers. So boys and girls, since we are using Google Documents, you'll be able to see if you misspell a word, and you can fix that. Remember, some frogs like to live in the desert, so some of them do like dry places, so I'm going to write that down too. There are a few frogs that like dry places, like the desert. Now, where did they say that they were never going to find a frog? It was Antarctica, right? So you can find frogs all around the world, but you won't find any in Antarctica. Do an exclamation mark, like you won't find any in Antarctica. What did I do? Oh, I forgot another C. Frogs enjoy warm habitats. There. That's going to be it for my habitat section. Now, I do want to make one word bold, which is an expert word. Do you see the word that I'm thinking about? What's the word in here that we might not know unless we look in a dictionary? Now, we might know this one because we've been using this word for a while. But I'm going to make habitats a bold word. And we can go up here and we can click bold. Now it looks like just like in our nonfiction books. So we have those bold words. And when we have those bold words, we know to look in the glossary. So I'm going to scroll down. Now, it's okay if you don't finish the whole page. And please leave the font amount, the sizes the same. If you want, you can write more. And sometimes when we type, it messes up the section. So if you can just click backspace, make sure it gets to the top of the section. I'm going to go all the way down here to my glossary. I'm going to put my word habitat. Now, we might know what a habitat is because we've read lots of books about animals and we always see the word habitat. We talk about it in class. But somebody who's never read a nonfiction book or maybe doesn't know much about your animal might not know what a habitat is. So I want to write this down in my glossary. So a habitat is a place an animal lives. There. I can scroll back up. And now I have my title page, all about frogs, or whatever your animal is. I could even just say frogs, fantastic frogs, amazing frogs. Or even ask a question. Have you ever learned about frogs? Whatever you want to title your book. Think about all the nonfiction animals that you've read or any nonfiction book, and how did the author make that title for that book? Make sure you put your name so we know who is writing this book. And again, you do not have to have a picture. That is just there if you would like to add it. your table of contents, leave the heading alone right here. And I'd like you to create your first section today. So as you see that I went back and used my notes from day 1. Look, I even had my vocabulary word already in there, and I used pretty much all of my notes. Now, as you can see, these are just a couple of words here, and I made these words into my own sentences. I gave some examples about where they lived. I told you where they didn't live. So I use these notes to help me create a section in my book. Remember, we're leaving the numbers alone. This is my first section, and you can change the title and section, but please make sure it matches with your table of contents. So I said habitat. I could have put home sweet home, where frogs live, anything that relates to where they live, their habitat. Make sure you're indenting your new paragraph. You're having periods and capital letters. And you're trying to have a bold word. Okay? And then later, we're going to do section 2. And then 3, 4, and then we have a glossary. If we need more sections, we can always add more sections. And hopefully you guys have a wonderful day of writing. I'm here if you have any questions. Please take your time. Make sure you go back and use your notes. Now, if you didn't take notes, go back and read a book about an animal and take notes then before you do this activity. You're going to have to use your notes. Don't just copy from a book. Have a wonderful day, guys, and I will see you for our next lesson. Bye.